here to read another chapter of the good book, of the book of Genesis, which is nested in a greater good book, the Holy Bible. I want to start off with some announcements. First announcement, I'm going to start reading 2 chapters at a time. I figured out that the book of Genesis has 50 chapters. I don't want to spend 50 days going through the book of Genesis. So I'm going to be doubling up. 2 chapters at a time. If things get crazy, if they're really short chapters, I might do 3 chapters at a time. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Second announcement is that I have Andre Soleas on the Naked Diner podcast today. You can check it out on Stitcher. Andre Soleas. Andre Soleas. He was a great guest. We talked about the Atheist Candidate Project, all about trying to get atheists into office. He is a political wonk, and we talk the wonk. We walk the wonk. We are the wonk in this particular episode. All right. You guys ready to get crazy with Genesis? I have to tell you, I'm drinking some rum and cokes because chapter 5 in the book of Genesis is all about the begats. And yeah, it's not very exciting, so maybe when I go through the begats, I might do some drinking. But chapter 6 is pretty cool because there's some angel sex going on with humans. How can you go wrong with that? All right, let's get on with chapters 5 and 6 of the book of Genesis. This is the list of the descendants of Adam. When God created humankind, he made them in the likeness of God. Male and female he created them, and he blessed them and named them humankind when they were created. When Adam had lived 130 years, he became the father of a son in his likeness, according to his image, and named him Seth. The days of Adam after he became the father of Seth were 800 years before the flood. Before the flood, they lived for a long time. And he had other sons and daughters. Thus, all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. When Seth had lived 105 years, he became the father of Enosh. Seth lived after the birth of Enosh 807 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus, all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. When Enosh had lived 90 years, he became the father of Kenan. Enosh lived after the birth of Kenan 815 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Enosh were 905 years, and he died. And I drank. When Kenan had lived 70 years, he became the father of Mahalalel. Kenan lived after the birth of Mahalalel 840 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Kenan were 910 years, and he died. And I drank. When Mahalalel had lived 65 years, he became the father of Jared. Mahalalel lived after the birth of Jared 830 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Mahalalel were 895 years, and he died. And he drank. When Jared had lived 162 years, he became the father of Enoch. Jared lived after the birth of Enoch 800 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. When Enoch lived 65 years, he became the father of Methuselah. Enoch walked with God after the birth of Methuselah 300 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Enoch were 365 years. Enoch walked with God, and he was no more, because God took him, like up into heaven, without the death. When Methuselah had lived 187 years, he became the father of Lamech. Methuselah lived after the birth of Lamech 782 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. When Lamech had lived 182 years, he became the father of a son. He named him Noah, saying, "Out of the ground that the Lord has cursed, this one shall bring us relief from our work and the toil of our hands." That's an interesting way of looking at it. Lamech lived after the birth of Noah 595 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. After Noah was 500 years old, Noah became the father of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Thus ends the reading of the 5th chapter of the book of Genesis. But wait, we're doing the 6th chapter too. Let's see what happens. Could there be angel sex with mortals? Maybe it is. Maybe we'll check it out. When people began to multiply on the face of the ground, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that they were fair, and they took wives for themselves of all they chose. And the Lord said, "My spirit shall not abide in mortals forever, for they are flesh. Their days shall be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went into the daughters of humans, who bore children to them. These were the heroes that were of old, warriors of renown." So the Nephilim existed before the flood, and somehow they were around after the flood. The Lord saw that the wickedness of humankind was great in the earth, and that every inclination of their thoughts, of their hearts, was only evil continually. And the Lord was sorry that he made humankind on the earth, and it grieved him to his heart. So the Lord said, "I will go down and help people, and help them not be evil." No, that would make sense, wouldn't it? So the Lord said, "I will blot out from the earth the human beings I have created, people together with animals, and creeping things, and birds of the air, for I am sorry that I have made them." But Noah found Savior in the sight of the Lord. It's interesting, the notes here for this chapter are quick to point out that even though there are other flood myths of the Middle East, this one is different. This one, it's the good genocide. That's what this is. These are the descendants of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, blameless in his generation. Noah walked with God. And Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight, and the earth was filled with violence. And God saw that the earth was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted its ways upon the earth. And God said to Noah, "I have determined to make." Now this sounds really familiar because because this was written in the couple of verses before this. It's like it's done twice. And because it's done, the reason why it's done twice is because there are different writers in the book of Genesis. There are 4 writers. And so you have story layered upon story. And sometimes that same story gets retold within a couple of verses. Let's get back to the crazy. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight, and the earth was filled with violence, and God saw that the earth was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted its ways upon the earth. And God said to Noah, "I have determined to make an end of all flesh, for the earth is filled with violence because of them. Now I'm going to destroy them along with the earth. Make yourself an ark of cypress wood, Make rooms in the ark and cover it inside and out with pitch. This is how you are to make it. The length of the ark, 300 cubits. Its width, 50 cubits. Its height, 30 cubits. Make a roof for the ark and finish it to a cubit above and put the door of the ark on its side. Make it with lower, second, and third decks. For my part, I'm going to bring a flood of waters on the earth to destroy from under heaven all flesh, in which is the breath of life. Everything that is on the earth shall die. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you shall come into the ark, you, your sons, your wife, your sons' wives with you, and of every living thing of all flesh you shall bring 2 of every kind into the ark, to keep them alive with you. They shall be male and female. Of the birds according to their kinds, and of the animals according to their kinds, of every creeping thing of the ground according to its kind, 2 of every kind shall come into you to keep them alive. Also take with you every kind of food that is eaten, and store it up, and it shall serve as food for you and for them. Noah did this. He did all that God commanded him. And thus ends chapter 6. After reading chapters 5 and 6 of Genesis, I don't know what's crazier. The really long lifespans, Enosh being taken up to heaven without dying, Nephilim, angels inserting themselves into human women. What do you guys think? What do you think is the craziest part? And if you haven't subscribed already, please do. I would really appreciate it. Thanks a lot.